What's that? I'm in the same place as my last video. Well, you caught me. Look, I'll pretend to be somebody else. Totally different person now. You can't tell that I filmed 2 videos in one day. It's too sunny to not film loads today. So, that's what I'm doing. Today I wanted to do the work in progress tag. I saw this on LA McKinley's channel. Go visit her if you haven't seen her channel already. She's fairly new to YouTube. As I said in a video last week, I've decided to self-publish, which I'm really excited about, going through the process at the moment. It's really, really interesting. Okay, so question 1, what's the working title of my book? My book actually has a proper name now because although I'm doing the work in progress tag, that's because I'd actually finished writing the book when I started my YouTube channel. But my book did have a working title. I genuinely wanted to call it this as well. At the time I thought it was a great name. I don't know what was wrong with me. My book's about breastfeeding. It's about kind of my story and the social story of breastfeeding. And I thought it would be great to call my book Booby Babies. I thought it was a really good name. I mean, there's alliteration, and there's alliteration. I don't know. It's one of those things where when I really thought about it and I thought, oh, if somebody says to somebody, oh, have you read Booby Babies? Like, oh, it's just horrible. Needed a new name. The other thing is that when I said to people, if I was talking about it and they said, oh, what's it called? And I told them, people were like, or they would laugh. It's not really what you want from the title of your book. So I do have a new title that whenever I mention it to people, they're like, oh wow, that's brilliant. So I'm feeling a lot better about it. I'm going to do a big title reveal video at some point because I'm not going to release my book till October. So, you know, let's just do a slow burn and I'll tell you bits as we go. But yeah, I'm very excited now. Question 2, where did the idea for my book come from? Well, when my eldest son was little, I thought that breastfeeding was going to be a breeze, and it really wasn't. I struggled a lot. I ended up in a lot of pain and not very well mentally either. I just didn't expect it to be as hard as it was. Yeah, and so everything that I'd been told or I'd read about up to that point, people have been saying, oh, breastfeeding is the best way to feed your baby, it's wonderful, you know, oh, we all look back with great fondness to our time breastfeeding our children, and just kind of very romanticised. And when I then came into difficulties, I felt that that was really unfair, that nobody had really said to me, some people find it hard and this is what you do, you know, this is who you can turn to, or, you know, I just thought that there was something wrong with me, that everybody else was enjoying it and loving it and I wasn't. And I felt that there really ought to be just an honest story, not a horrible story, because I mean mine is far from it. I mean I'm breastfeeding my 3rd child, like I love breastfeeding, I'm very passionate about it, but just you know, giving warts and all and how you can deal with those things, kind of a story, and explaining why it's difficult, the fact that actually it's not anybody's fault. Our society is crazy when it comes to breastfeeding and motherhood in general. And yeah, I kind of sat there going, oh, there should be a book like that. And then I started to write it. Question 3, what genre does my book fall under? My book is non-fiction. You could say it's narrative non-fiction because it's told like a story. I suppose you could say it's memoir, but it's not entirely memoir. It's a mixture, I would say, between non-fiction, narrative non-fiction and memoir, all mixed together. Question 4, what actors would I get to play my main character in the movie version? Well, I mean, they're never going to make a movie out of this book, I wouldn't imagine. If they did, well, the main character is me. I could do it. I'm a terrible actress, couldn't be me. When I have been told, when I was a teenager, people used to say that I looked like Kate Winslet. The reason for that, because I don't think I look like her at all, is that Titanic had just come out, and she spends a lot of time in Titanic wandering around with kind of curly red wet hair, and I have quite reddish hair. This is my natural colour. I'm not a redhead, but there's like a reddy tint to my hair, and I never really, you know, if it's raining I don't worry about it. I'm constantly, I don't know, I was just always damp. Was I don't know, used to go swimming a lot, So I quite frequently would have like wet, red, curly hair. And a number of people at the time said I looked like Kate Winslet. I don't agree. I have since had people say that I look like Rachel Weisz from The Mummy. I don't think so. And I once had a student who said that I was so much like, I forget her name, I think it's Jessica Findlay Brown, who's from Downton, but for him it's from Jamaica Inn. He said, oh, you're so like her that I find it really weird to watch it. But then in that, she's got a West Country accent, and I don't have a West Country accent. Maybe if I talk like this, then I'm a little bit more like her. Is that a good accent? I don't think so. I don't know, they wouldn't make a movie version of this book. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be so defeatist. As the one sentence synopsis of your book, well, probably should have actually written something down. That's just, you know, out of my brain. How about my story of my breastfeeding story and why it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. Is that like, that shouldn't be the tagline for my book though, because that's terrible. So that basically is the premise. Next question, will your book be self-published or represented by an agent? My book will be self-published. I was represented by an agent and I have decided to terminate that contract because I want to self-publish. Totally amicable, still in touch with my agent, very appreciative of all the work that I did with him, but just decided to move on. If you have a look at my video that I made about wanting to self-publish my book, I kind of go into more detail about why I want to do that, but yeah, it's the right thing for me to do, to be in control of things. Number 7, how long did it take to write the first draft of your manuscript? Well, I think it was about 5 years. The thing about it is that I had to live the experience before I wrote them. I basically wrote it as I went, so as things happened and as I learnt things I was writing them, and then obviously in edits I went through and made it all make sense. So my son was born in 2010, so I probably finished it when my daughter was about 2, the first draft, and so my son would have been about 5 and I started it when he was little, so yeah, about 5 years. I have since gone back and talked a little bit about this little one, and yeah, so you know, obviously it was just a draft. Things have changed since then. I've gone through and edited it a lot, so that's what I've been doing in the time since then. What other books would you compare to your story? My story is quite a mixture. There are similarities to books like The Politics of Breastfeeding, Breastfeeding Uncovered, Unlatched, because they talk about the social side of breastfeeding and the politics and history. But there's also similarities to, I suppose, something like Jules Oliver's book. Is it called -9 to 1, I think, where she just talks about her parenting story. So it's like a mixture of things and sort of interwoven together. I don't want to compare myself to other people because it's like those people who say like, oh, the next Stephen King. You know, you're setting yourself up for comparison. I don't want people to be saying like, oh, that I'm not as good as them or I'm better than them or anything. I'm just me and I'm writing as me. Question 9. What or who inspired me to write the book? Well, my kids, predominantly my eldest, who's now nearly 8. So yeah, they're my literary inspiration. Question 10, what else about the book might pique the reader's interest? Well, I don't know if this sounds big-headed, but I think that the fact that I wrote this while I was experiencing it, and I was literally feeding my babies, you know, writing it in the evenings whilst actually feeding them, and trying to fit it in as well as working. I worked full-time for part of it, I worked part-time for part of it, I finished a degree for part of it. Like, this has never been the only thing that I've been working on. And that whole thing of balancing, kind of having kids with working, but still pursuing my dreams. I think it's important to remember that having kids doesn't necessarily have to be the end to all of that. So, yeah, I think that fact that, you know, yes, it's taken me a long time, but that's because I've been multitasking somewhat. Yeah, I don't know if that's interesting. I think it's interesting. I'd be like interested if somebody who's saying that they'd written a book whilst they were if somebody said they'd written a book whilst they were raising their kids, you know, I'm proud. So over the coming weeks I'm going to talk some more about my book. So please subscribe if you'd like to see some more kind of Authortube style videos, and I put other bookish content on here as well. I talk about what I'm reading. So please subscribe for more. Please don't forget to like if you did, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! Okay, you're done. You're a good girl. Did you enjoy playing on the beach? Okay.